Now, in other news, Russian authorities are claiming Ukraine struck the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant 3 times on Sunday. Moscow calling on the West to respond, though officials in Kyiv say they aren't behind the attacks. The facility has been in Russian control since 2022, and according to the IAEA, it's the first time the plant has been directly struck in nearly 18 months. For more on this story, we can go across to France 24's Emmanuel Shah standing by in Kyiv. Emmanuel, good afternoon. What more do we know at this hour?
Well, as you mentioned, indeed, the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency has confirmed that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant was struck 3 times by drones. Those were direct strikes, and Ukraine says it has nothing to do with it. Actually, the spokesperson of the intelligence services here in Ukraine denied any involvement from Ukrainian part into those strikes. It also comes at a time when Russia has been really targeting all power plants across the country. The city of Kharkiv, for example, it's the second biggest city in Ukraine pre-wartime. It was a city with 1.3 million people living there, and it has lived in total blackout for weeks now because all the power plants have been hit. And this is also the case in other parts of the city with DTEC, the largest energy provider, private energy provider of the country, saying 80% of their power plants have been destroyed. So the situation is dire all across the country, and even more so in Zaporizhzhia, where we can only imagine what would happen if there are other direct strikes into a nuclear power plant.
Emmanuel, yesterday we had Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky, who said that if Kyiv doesn't receive that $60 billion of U.S. aid that's tied up in Congress right now, Ukraine will lose this war. And now, overnight, we have a new report coming out in the Washington Post, which says that the former U.S. President Donald Trump has a long-shot plan to end the war in Ukraine if he's re-elected, which would see Washington essentially pressure Kyiv to cede territory, which includes Crimea and Donbass. Has there been any reaction to this article where you are?
First off, we have to keep in mind that here in Ukraine, one of the conditions for any peace talks is to not lose any territory. Ukraine, being a sovereign country, a democratic country, it wants to retain its territorial integrity. And right now, this is not negotiable for Ukrainians. They have said it time and again on a governmental level, also on a societal level, that losing Donbass or losing Crimea are not options. That being said, there's also what Volodymyr Zelensky said, and it's the first time that he's talking about losing the war, the prospect of losing the war if there is not more aid coming from the US. So whether he said it to put extra pressure on Ukraine's allies, or if this is really a grim reality, we will find out way before the US elections in November, because here soldiers are already lacking ammunition. They're already saying more and more openly that they have nothing left to counterattack, and we are expecting, according to intelligence head Kirill Budanov, that we are expecting a new offensive, a new Russian offensive towards the late spring, the beginning of the summer, and this will come way before the elections. So whatever Donald Trump's plans are, should he be elected, the consequences of Russia's war against Ukraine will be felt even more long before those elections, since the shortage of ammunition and the dire need for Western help is felt here every day.